the lack of, high competition, even though we saw exhilarating games 6 and 7 in the Eastern Conference semifinals between Washington and Boston, and then that game 5 between the Spurs and the Rockets was outstanding. The Spurs and Grizz take that for data was always fun. Is there a reason for concern in hand-wringing in the NBA over these playoffs, do you think, Ernie?
I don't really think so. I mean, obviously, you'd like to have more compelling series and more of these moments that you look back on. And I mean, so we've had 68 games played so far. We've got 40 decided by double digits, and I think nobody remembers that if it comes down to a Golden State Cleveland for the third straight year kind of finals. They'll look back and say, hey, that was the only time it's happened. Remember that, So obviously you'd like some more competitive things, some more compelling series, rather than just a few moments like we've had so far. But some years it is that way, and some years it's not. And I mean, from what we saw in Game 1 last night, unless Boston has some miraculous answers to what Cleveland's doing, then this one might not take too long.
And in terms of that, Ernie, I mean, I also was having this conversation before that with all of the young talent that we're seeing in the NCAA tournament that you and the Turner Group with CBS so expertly cover, that it seems to me that we should be filling out NBA rosters with young talent that can blossom to actually make a dent in two juggernaut teams like the Cavs and the Warriors. Is there what's the conversation about in regards to the talent level that's coming in and the lack of competition on that front?
Well, I mean, I think you're encouraged by some of the guys you see playing college ball, but again, you remember these kids are 19 years old right now, and this is a man's game, and so I think that I always think back to I was at an event at March Madness a few years ago, and we were just kind of having a coaches and former players forum. Jim Boeheim was there, and a couple other players. Bill Walton was there, and Dante Exum was there. And at that point, he's this Australian teenager who's going to be a lottery pick, and he wasn't part of the panel. He was just sitting here listening, and I just asked the guys on the panel, okay, you got Dante right here, 18, 19 years old. Tell him what he's in for. And I thought Jim Boeheim was so brutally honest, and this is just kind of like a cautionary tale for all these kids who are coming up. He looked him square in the eye. He's about 10 feet away, and said, look, I know you've got a lot of talent, but be prepared to get your ass kicked. That's what's going to happen. You're going to find guys that you cannot get the ball past half court against. So just get ready for it and then grow from it. It's how you react to that. And so as much talent as you do see in some of these kids, again, everybody's an NBA player here, And so, no, there are going to be some guys who make an impact in time. I would hope that we have some patience with them.
Yeah, I guess that's just, again, what I'm saying is just even last night, I mean, here are the Celtics who are, and I know it's just one game, but the Celtics who are the 1 seed, they have the number 1 overall pick. Danny Ainge has done a remarkable job in just 4 years remaking this roster, and we're seeing, even with the number 1 overall pick or what he does with it, unless he turns it into Paul George or Jimmy Butler, it seems like it's just going to be another year of them trying to get into the Cavaliers' level. And it's just kind of a moment of pause for me as a viewer to see this. Now, that said, once the Warriors and Cavs suit up, I'm all in. I mean, I've got the remote in my hand, and it's not being dropped, Ernie.
Yeah. Oh, no, without question. I mean, that's what everybody's looking at and wondering if we could possibly have 2 12-0 teams in the postseason going head-to-head.
Is that good, though? Is that good for the NBA?
Well, I mean, I think ultimately it's what you'll remember about this basketball season when you look back in the record books. It's just like when you look at, when you think about the fact that James Harden's Rockets won more games than Russell Westbrook's Thunder when the NBA's MVP hardware is handed out. Are you going to look back and oh yeah, that was the year that Russell Westbrook did what only Oscar Robertson had done. And so no, I think that I think that this is just one of these things where it's how do teams react? Are you going to take a defeatist attitude as the season starts and say, "Oh, look at Golden State, same bunch, we got no chance," or is that going to inspire you and try to make your team better in different ways? I mean, I think it's how you respond to it, and I don't know how the average fan takes this, or if they just say, "Hey, wake me when the finals get here," when it's Golden State and Cleveland again. I would hope that would not be it, because I do think the league has a lot of stars who, on given nights, are certainly worth watching. And so, I wouldn't get too carried away with the fact that this has gone the way it's gone so far with the blowouts and the double-digit games and that kind of thing. So, maybe that's just the optimistic side of me talking.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app, and I'll be sure to help the NFL figure out what a catch is.